Hello, my name's David, and back in September, my wife got admitted into the Rowans Hospice. Before that, she was actually in hospital being cared and trying to figure out if she could have more chemotherapy and stuff. And unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. We had to wait a couple of days to be able to get into hospice. But when we got into the hospice, all the weight was lifted off my shoulders. I know that sounds quite selfish because my wife was going through all the hardship, but for me, it just felt like the whole weight was off my shoulders, and I could, rather than being a carer, I could actually just be a husband and a father to my children again, because the hospice is great for that. You know, you can come and go when you please. There's a play area for the children. I've got a 4-year-old and a 17-year-old, so there's a massive gap. So the 17-year-old could sit in the cafe and be treated like an adult because she wants to be treated like an adult, but whereas my 4-year-old could just run around, and yeah, it was just a massive weight off my shoulders. Well, when I first walked into the hospice, it, it was just a sense of everyone knew what they were doing, and that for me that's really important. So if because I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm being honest, especially when it comes to being a carer. You know, it was my first experience of being a carer, and to begin with, I could care, but when I came into the hospice, it was like I was surrounded by people that could just help me and take over, and then I could just be a father and a husband again. And that was the biggest thing I noticed when I first walked in. We was given a room, and the room was beautiful, and we could open the doors to the outside, to the garden sort of area. But also in the room, it was like home from home. So we was able to watch TV, and I know that sounds the littlest thing in the world, but just to be able to turn on Netflix and watch our favourite thing that we used to always sit down and watch, which is Big Bang Theory. We used to watch it over and over and over again. It was one of those things that we could just, so that memory of just sitting with my wife and just sitting there and watching Big Bang Theory, knowing that if she needed something, I just got to press a button, and it felt like we weren't in a hospice. It just felt like we was in our front room. And that was really important because I had the kids with me. We even had her mum. We was allowed visitors whenever we liked, and so those memories. And her brother came down, and it was just that those really. It was like Christmas Day, you know. For the time we were here, every day was like Christmas Day because there was just family around, and so many memories made in the last sort of 2 weeks. So, but all the memories were just the little things, and those are the things that I think really matter. Without the hospice, we wouldn't have had those moments again, and that would have been quite upsetting. Knowing that we couldn't have had those moments because the TV in hospitals aren't quite the same as the TV that we got here. And I know it sounds stupid about talking about TV, but for me and my wife, that's what we did on a night in together. We didn't go out to the pubs or clubs, or especially not clubs, but like we didn't go out. We loved our home, so the hospice became our home for those 2 weeks. Yeah, it's not about the grand gestures. It's just about those little things, and now that and now that my I hate saying moving on because I never move on, but now that I'm moving forward, I appreciate the little moments. I really do. I really appreciate just sitting down with my kids, watching TV, and whatever it is. Yeah, they're the big moments, the little moments. Yeah. So before my wife died, we didn't really have much. I didn't really ask. I didn't feel like at the time I didn't feel like I needed the help from any sort of from my children. I thought I could just cope on my own. I thought I'll be able to do this. I'm a dad, and I'm going to stand up. And my wife, she was very sort of strong-minded, and I became strong-minded. So I will look after the kids. I will do this. I will do that. When my wife passed, I just couldn't. And the Meerkat service, they just said, "Would you like to come for a little chat?" And to be honest with you, I was like, "No, I don't need to." But I thought, no, I'll just go along anyway. And I sat there, and after 5 minutes, after 3 minutes, I realised that I really needed it. Just with the wording, for me to start talking to my youngest, how to word things, how to not say the words, mummy died because she was poorly, because if you say that to a 4-year-old, when I get a cold, she's going to think that I'm going to be like mummy, which isn't true. So instead of saying poorly, we came to the conclusion as a group, the meerkats and myself, that we're just going to tell Everly mummy died of cancer. So she was poorly, but she died of cancer. So when I'm poorly, when I get a cough or a cold, it's going to be okay. So she doesn't have to worry. They gave me storybooks to read to her about dragonflies that live under the water, but then they grow their wings and they fly above. And they want to come back down again, but they can't get back under the water to come and see everybody and see their friends. I can't remember what the book's called, but just little things like that, especially for my youngest, that really, really helped. And still to this day, I still phone up the meerkats every so often and just ask them for their advice. They also came to the school, and rather than me trying to explain to all the teachers and support workers down there what had happened and how Everly is and stuff like that, the meerkat service, they came to the school and they sat there, and we set up a little meeting with the head teacher and all the teachers, and they all arrived and they all sat there, and we all sat there and chatted, and Everly was there and my eldest daughter was there, and that really helped, because I don't know, when someone dies and someone's close to you, after a couple of days, people tend to ask you lots of questions, and most of the time the questions are, how are you? How are you? How's Everly? What have you been saying to Everly? What have you been saying to your daughters? And it's like, after a while, you're just like heads blown with all the questions. You just want people to go away. Even though you want them around, you want them to go away. Whereas the meerkat service, when it came to coming to the school, they just all the questions the teachers had, they could answer for me in a way that I probably couldn't ever answer them. They could articulate it in a much better way, and it's vitally important, that service, because you never know when you're going to need it. Because I didn't think I'd ever need it, ever. And then I found myself in that situation, which is not what anyone wants. We don't wish that on anybody, of course we don't, but I needed it, and it was there, and hopefully forever it will be there. So I'm just asking everybody to donate as much as you can, even if it's just sharing the video. I know money's really tight. And I know it's really tight, but whatever you can afford, £1, do a cake bake sale. I don't know. There's all sorts of things we can do, isn't there? But if you can't, you haven't got time, or you just haven't got the finances, it's completely understandable. But share the video. Share the video. That's the most important thing, because the more people that hear about it, the better. So donate to the moments that matter. The Rowans has been here for 30 years and not let anybody down. Let's keep it going for the next 30 years for other families to make moments that matter.